Picture this. It's 6 hours deep in a Ukrainian forest, 8 clicks behind friendly lines, the air is cold, still, 4 FP, 2 drones lift off from a mist-covered clearing, their rotors biting the dawn quiet. Their target, a Russian fuel train rolling south through occupied territory. The mission window is brutal. Hit the train before 0650 or wait 72 hours for the next chance. The operators don't know it yet, but they just lit a beacon in the dark. The second those control signals flickered to life, they gave themselves up. This isn't just a strike mission anymore. This is a race against the clock that's already ticking down, a 90-second fight for survival before the drones even cross the front line. Welcome to the battlefield's electronic shadow war. Today, we're breaking down how a $100,000 drone swarm triggered a multi-million-dollar Russian kill chain in under 23 seconds, and how 2 pilots survived the impossible math of 40 incoming rockets. This is the real-time calculus of modern war. Sensors, signals, and the split-second decisions that separate a successful strike from a fiery grave. New Orleans, 2014. 2 cousins with a suicide pact and a SoundCloud account began building an empire outside the entire music industry. They proved the system was obsolete. Eastern Ukraine, 2024. 2 drone pilots in a forest clearing are about to prove the same thing about a Russian electronic warfare grid. The industry's worst nightmare was independence. The Russian military's worst nightmare is a $20,000 drone with a pre-programmed waypoint and an operator who knows how to hide. The 4 FP2 drones clear the tree line. In the cab of a command vehicle, 2 operators split the feeds. Their focus is tight, navigate southwest, avoid known SAM pockets, reach the handover point for autonomous flight. They thinking about crosswinds, battery life, the thermal signature of a train. They're not thinking about the R934B Sinitsa 20 kilometers north, because you can't think about what you can't see. This isn't the truck, it's a listening post on wheels. 4 independent dish antennas on its roof sweep 20 megahertz to 3 gigahertz. 360 degrees, a vacuum cleaner for electromagnetic noise. Its computer isn't just listening, it's classifying, and it's hungry. The FP2's control signals hit the air 1.2 to 1.4 gigahertz, frequency hopping across 50 channels, 10 watts per transmitter, Ukrainian signature. The Russian database confirms it in 0.3 seconds. Hostile. Bearing 247 degrees magnetic. The Sinitsa logs it, but a bearing is just a line to infinity. The drone could be 1 kilometer away or 100. One vehicle is useless for a fix. This is why the Russians never deploy alone. 25 kilometers northeast, a second R934 catches the same emissions, bearing 190 degrees. Now, the geometry locks. Both vehicles pulse their data via secure link to a Borisoglepsk 2 command truck, a mobile supercomputer. Here's where the math turns lethal. The drone's signal travels at the speed of light, 300,000 kilometers per second. It hits the second R934 just 0.00008 seconds after the first. The computer multiplies that tiny delay by the speed of light. Result, 24 kilometers. This means the drone is 24 kilometers closer to the first receiver than to the second. But wait, the 2 receivers are 45 kilometers apart. How can the difference only be 24 kilometers? Because the drone is sitting almost exactly between them, like a bullseye. The computer now draws a hyperbola, a curve of all points 24 kilometers closer to receiver 1. Where this curve intersects, the 2 bearing lines, 247 degrees and 190 degrees, you have your target, detection, classification, triangulation. Total time, 23 seconds. The Borisoglepsk 2 doesn't request permission. Under standing orders from 2022, a confirmed drone control signal triggers automatic suppression. It pushes a 6-digit grid coordinate directly to the nearest fire's unit. A BM-21 Grad battery, 31 kilometers away, receives the fire mission. No human officer gives the order. The system has already decided. Hydraulics whine as 40 launch tubes elevate to 52 degrees. The fire control computer adjusts for an 8-knot crosswind from the west. The launch sequence initiates. The Ukrainian operators hear it before they see it. It's not the sharp crack of artillery. It's a tearing sound, a ripple of ignitions building into a sustained roar. A trained ear can count them. A full battery salvo, 40 rockets. Time to impact, 60 seconds. The team leader knows the numbers. Each 122mm rocket carries 6.4 kilograms of high explosive wrapped in preformed steel fragments. Lethal radius, 30 meters. 40 rockets in a hexagonal pattern blanket, a 600 meters x 600 meters box. Their launch site is at the exact center of that box. The drones are still climbing through 1,500 meters, only 10 kilometers from launch. They need 20 more seconds to reach the handover point, where their onboard computers take over. If they cut control now, the drones default circle back, searching for a lost signal, wasting the mission. It's a brutal equation. 20 seconds of exposure versus mission abort. 15 seconds. The whistling becomes audible, a rising chord of approaching steel. 10 seconds. The drones cross into contested airspace. Autonomy engages. Waypoints locked. 5 seconds. The team leader yanks the power cable from his control unit. The link dies. 3 seconds. Both operators dive into their vehicle. The engine is already running. 1 second. Tires spin, throwing dirt. The vehicle lurches forward. The forest behind them explodes. Not a single blast, but rolling thunder as rockets walk across the grid square in a 6-second barrage. The shockwave hits their vehicle at 200 meters. Bang. Fragments punch through the tailgate. But they keep moving, disappearing into a secondary tree line. The 4 FP2 drones, now silent and autonomous, continue southeast. The operators have survived the first trap, but their drones are already appearing on someone else's scope. The fuel train is now 60 kilometers ahead, rolling at 60 kilometers per hour. It's entering the 40 kilometer zone where Ukrainian intel predicted the heaviest defenses. Every minute matters. A Russian Tor M2 battery near Starobilsk has been tracking the drones since they entered its 38 kilometers radar envelope. The Tor is a different beast. Its radar is a flat, rectangular, phased array that seems to rotate but doesn't. It's electronic. Think of it as 1,000 tiny flashlights, each able to point instantly in any direction, sweeping the sky 3 times per second. It can track 48 targets. But here's the fatal bottleneck. Its engagement radar, a separate Ka-band system, can only illuminate 4 targets at once. Each illuminating beam is a pencil-thin, 2 degrees wide laser pointer that must stay locked on the target from missile launch to impact. Break lock for more than 0.5 seconds, and the missile goes dumb. Ukrainian pilots know this. They fly profiles designed to stress this limit. The Tor operator watches 4 contacts: high drone at 2,000 meters straight and level, middle drone at 500 meters weaving, 2 low drones at 200 meters skimming the earth. The low drones suddenly dive. They've detected his radar shifting from search to track mode. The signal strength spikes. They know what that means. Dive now or eat a missile in 8 seconds. They drop to 50 meters, scraping the terrain. The Tor can track all 4. But engaging is the problem. It only has 4 fire control channels. 4 laser pointers for 4 drones should be enough. But the geometry is a nightmare. The high drone is screaming decoy, the low drones keep disappearing behind hills, the middle drone is the wild card. Russian doctrine, ripple fire. Launch 2 missiles, assess, then launch 2 more. Don't waste your whole ready load. 2 9 M338 missiles erupt vertically. They don't chase, they climb above the target and dive, using gravity to add 200 meters per second to impact velocity. The high drone, the decoy, holds steady at 2,000 meters. The first missile's proximity fuse detonates 5 meters away. 14 kilograms of tungsten fragments expand at 2,000 meters per second. The FP2 is vaporized. 10 kilometers east, the train crosses the Spartak bypass. The surviving drones now have less than 30 minutes to get ahead of it. The Tor launches its second pair of missiles. The middle drone evades, diving from 500 meters to 200 meters. But the Tor's computer isn't aiming at where the drone is. It's aiming at where it will be in 11 seconds. The missile arrives at the predicted point exactly as the drone does. Another sphere of tungsten. Another drone deleted. 2 down. The 2 low drones do something counterintuitive. They stop maneuvering. Movement creates a larger radar cross-section. They go straight and level, becoming holes in the sky, minimizing their signature. The battery commander isn't fooled. The survivors are the ones hugging the earth, the ones with the live warheads. The destroyed drones were $20,000 decoys absorbing $2 million missiles. He orders the battery to reposition. It takes 4 minutes. Lower the radar, move, stabilize, recalibrate. 4 minutes is an eternity. The surviving drones gain 12 kilometers. They pop up briefly at a valley's end. The Tor fires its last 2 ready missiles. The drones duck into a railway cutting. The missiles find empty air. At 6:22, both FP2S clear the Tor's engagement envelope. They're still alive. The train is pulling into Dovzhansk depot, but the Russians are waiting with their final card. The R-330 Zhechitel jamming system has been parked at the Dovzhansk rail depot since midnight. It looks like a truck with a weird antenna farm. It's broadcasting 100 watts of targeted noise across a 30 kilometers radius. At 0640, both FP2S hit the jamming zone. Their GPS receivers, tracking satellites 20,000 kilometers away with 50-watt signals, are suddenly blind. The Zhetel's 100-watt noise from just kilometers away is like trying to see a flashlight on the moon while someone shines a searchlight in your face. The drones switch to inertial navigation. Accelerometers and gyros try to hold course, but INS drifts. Every minute adds 10 meters of error. After 5 minutes, they could be 50 meters off target, a complete miss. The Ukrainian operators, 180 kilometers away, watch their video feeds degrade. Frame rate drops from 30 to 10, then 5. Resolution pixelates from 1080p to 480p. The Zhetel is hammering every frequency, but the drone's directional antennas have 18 decibels of gain 63x signal amplification. Even losing 90% of packets, enough gets through. The first operator fights through control lag, 400 milliseconds, frozen frames, and static. He switches to manual camera settings, exposure down, focus locked at infinity. He's not seeing video anymore, he's interpreting a stuttering thermal slideshow. And through the static, he sees it. The depot glows in thermal. Metal holds heat. The tanker cars, each with 60 tons of diesel, are white rectangles. The railroad tracks are two parallel heat lines pointing like arrows to the target. He aligns his drone with those thermal rails. Depot, static. Depot, static. It's enough. 3 degrees left. Altitude, 300 meters. The Digital operator sees the video link persisting. He tries everything: barrage jamming, spot jamming, sweep jamming, but the FP2's radio hops 1,000 times per second across 50 channels in a pseudo-random pattern. Jamming 40 channels still leaves 10 clear every millisecond. Enough for a data packet to squeeze through. Russian soldiers are pumping diesel from the train to underground storage. The GTEL operator's equipment is overheating, power meters maxed. 2 drones, 5 kilometers out, 90 seconds to impact. The first FP2 strikes the third tanker car at 67 meters per second. The 105 kilograms warhead creates 50 pounds per square inches of overpressure. The tank is rated for 15 pounds per square inches. It doesn't explode, it erupts. A 100-meter cone of 60 tons of aerosolized diesel ignites. Burning fuel flows along the track bed, pooling under adjacent cars. Pressure relief valves, sensing heat, pop open one by one, venting vapor directly into the fire. Within 30 seconds, 5 tanker cars are fully involved. Each adds 72,000 liters of fuel to the inferno. The second operator waits. He needs the secondary explosions to subside. He needs to see through the thermal bloom to the real prize, the fuel storage building. At 30 seconds, a gap appears in the saturation, a rectangular outline. He pushes his stick forward. 20 seconds later, the second FP2 arrives from the east. The operator aligns with a burning train, targets the upwind storage building. Terminal dive from 400 meters, impact 646. The building holds 500 tons of diesel. The blast bulges the walls, then finds the perfect fuel-air mix. The secondary explosion shatters windows 3 kilometers away in Dovzhansk. In less than a minute, 2 drones have turned tens of thousands of gallons of fuel into a pillar of fire and forced the Russian logistics machine to put its walking shoes on again. Let's process what just happened. The Ukrainian playbook here wasn't about mass. It was about exploiting systemic weaknesses in a layered defense. 1. The electronic trap. They knew emission control was vital, but accepted the risk. They banked on speed getting to autonomy before the triangulation closed. They lost that bet, but their discipline, the 20-second hold, saved the mission. 2. The SAM bottleneck. They understood the Tor's fire control limit. They used a high-altitude decoy to absorb a costly missile, while the real threats flew under the Raider's optimal engagement zone. 3. The jamming gap. They knew INS would drift, but trusted their pilots to manually guide through heavy jamming using basic thermal imagery. The GTEL can drown out GPS, but it couldn't kill a directional data link hopping 1,000 times a second. 2. 2 decoy drones, $40,000, absorbed at least 4 Tor missiles to $8 million. The 2 surviving drones, $40,000, destroyed fuel worth millions and crippled a depot. The ROI is absurd. This is the nightmare for any static defense, a low-cost, intelligent swarm that understands your system's math better than you do. The Russians had superior sensors, faster computers, and layered weapons. But the Ukrainians had a better algorithm for exploitation. They didn't just send drones, they sent a problem. A geometry puzzle for the triangulation computers, a fire control scheduling problem for the Tor, and a signal processing puzzle for the GTEL. And they solved their own problem first, get to the train. The revolution on this battlefield isn't a new weapon. It's the realization that every piece of high-tech gear has a crack in its logic. Find that crack. And a $20,000 drone doesn't just bypass a system, it proves the system is obsolete. The operators lived, the train burned, the depot is gone, and the blueprint is now public. Success isn't about having the best gear, it's about being the best at exploiting the flaws in the gear your enemy trusts. This has been the breakdown for the analysts. Was the Russian commander's critical error trusting the automatic suppression order from the Borsiglevsk, or not repositioning the Tor battery sooner? Let us know what you want next. A deep dive on the R934's triangulation software, or the FP2's frequency hopping protocol. Most requested wins. Bye for now.